The movie begins with a disturbing image of a family: parents, a younger daughter, and the elder sister, Sayuri. Unlike the others, Sayuri never comes out of her room. She survives on nothing but packets of snacks, junk food, and soda, leaving piles of garbage outside her door. Over time, her once normal body grows grotesquely swollen, her skin marked with infection, and her mind twisted by isolation and rage. One evening, her mother calls gently, urging her to come out and join the family for dinner. But instead of warmth, Sayuri bursts out of the room with wild fury, clutching a crowbar. Without hesitation, she strikes her mother down. The screen fades to black, and then, 10 years later, the same house is no longer empty. A new family has moved in, believing they are starting a fresh chapter. There is Grandma Haru, once known as a powerful shaman, but now battling dementia, her husband, Shozo, their son Akio, and his wife Masako, and 3 children: Keiko, the eldest daughter, Norio, the middle son, and little Shun, the youngest. They had lived in a cramped apartment before, but it was too small for so many people. Buying this house was a dream, though Akio silently worries about the heavy mortgage. The rest of the family, however, feels thrilled as they explore the spacious rooms. The children run upstairs to claim their own spaces. Keiko takes a room on the ground floor, while Norio and Shun share a large room upstairs. Shun, however, hesitates on the staircase. The hallway is dark, and something about the air feels heavy. Norio carries his brother's things for him, reassuring him with a smile. That night, the family enjoys their first dinner in the house. They laugh, they share memories, but Haru, the grandmother, keeps staring at the ceiling, distracted, almost as if she hears something the others don't. Shun asks if they could go back to their old apartment instead, but Akio insists this house is their new beginning. As the family sleeps, upstairs, Shun walks from the bathroom back to his room when he feels a strange presence behind one of the doors. He pauses, but convinces himself it's nothing. Meanwhile, in Keiko's room downstairs, the TV flickers to life on its own. Keiko wakes, annoyed, and turns it off. But as she climbs back into bed, we see her, the ghost of Sayuri, standing silently behind her. The next morning, Keiko looks pale and tired. She eats little at breakfast, while Akio leaves early for work, weighed down by stress. At school, Norio meets a girl named Sumida. She seems strangely interested in him, following him until she gathers courage to speak. She asks if anything unusual has happened in the house. Norio frowns, saying they only moved in yesterday, though yes, everyone does feel unusually tired. Sumida warns him quietly, "Be careful, families don't stay long in that house." That night, Keiko's TV switches on again. This time, when she approaches, she sees the ghost of a little girl. The child grabs her hand, and in that instant, Keiko screams. Upstairs, Shun wakes and heads toward the noise. He finds Keiko standing still in the hallway. He calls her name, but she doesn't respond. Suddenly, she turns on him, her eyes blank, her body possessed. With frightening strength, she smashes his face into a pillar. Shun cries in pain, his nose broken. Norio rushes out and sees the horrifying scene. But then, just as suddenly, Keiko slams her own head against the pillars. When she wakes, she seems normal again, the possession gone. The parents panic and rush Shun and Keiko to the hospital. Meanwhile, Grandma Haruo glimpses Sayuri's ghost in a mirror. For a moment, the old shaman in her recognizes the truth. But as quickly as the realization comes, dementia washes it away. She mutters it must have been just a bad dream. The next day, Norio meets Sumida again. This time he asks if she can truly sense ghosts. She admits she can't see them directly, but feels their presence. She warns him once more, "Leave that house. Something very dangerous is inside." Later, their neighbor also warns them, She explains that families rarely last in the house and offers help if needed. Norio listens but says nothing to his parents. At dinner, the family tries to act normal, but Keiko suddenly begins vomiting violently. Masako rushes to help, only to be covered in vomit herself. The others push away their food in disgust. Only Haruo continues eating calmly, though behind her dim eyes, she knows something is terribly wrong. That night, Akio suffers restless nightmares. He checks on his children and then peeks into Keiko's room. But what he finds chills him. The once neat bedroom now looks exactly like Sayuri's old lair. Piles of snacks, garbage everywhere, the same suffocating stench of decay. And then, from the shadows, Sayuri emerges with her crowbar. Before Akio can react, she strikes him down again and again until he lies lifeless on the floor. The next morning, Masako finds Akio's body. Shock and grief tear through the family. They hold the funeral. But soon after, Shozo begins behaving strangely. He is seen in the backyard, digging furiously into the soil with his bare hands. Blood drips from his fingers, but he keeps clawing until suddenly he collapses, dead. Doctors say it was heartbreak. Now fear consumes the family. One night, Shun wakes thirsty and goes downstairs. On the staircase, he sees Keiko waiting. She smiles faintly, then suddenly shoves him. Shun tumbles down the stairs, his neck snapping. His small body lies twisted at the bottom. But Shun doesn't realize he's dead. His ghost lingers, wandering the halls, calling for his brother. Norio hears him again and again, sometimes from upstairs, sometimes from downstairs, until finally Shun's lifeless body falls in front of him. And Norio realizes the truth. Possessed once more, Keiko lashes out, but instead of hurting Norio, she grabs a knife and stabs herself in the neck, collapsing in a pool of blood. Masako, driven mad with despair, retreats into her room. A short while later, Norio finds her strangled by wire, her tongue protruding. Sayuri's laughter echoes through the house. One by one, the family is destroyed. Only Norio and Haruo remain. Breaking free from her dementia, Haru reveals her true self again. She explains the cruel truth. Sayuri's spirit thrives on despair, fear, laziness, and grief. That is why each family member fell. Keiko was weak and idle. Akio was burdened with worry. Shozo drowned in sorrow. Shun was terrified. And Masako lost herself in grief. But Norio can still survive. To defeat the spirit, he must learn not to fear, not to despair, not to give in. Haruo trains him harshly. She makes him laugh out loud for no reason. She forces him to exercise, run, and eat until he's full of energy. She reminds him of happy memories, pushes him to stay cheerful, and tells him, "As long as you remain strong and happy, the spirit cannot touch you." Slowly, Norio changes. His fear lessens. For the first time, he begins to smile again. One day, Haruo digs in the backyard, the same place Shozo had been clawing at. There, they uncover a buried skeleton. Beside it, an ID card confirms the truth. This is Sayuri's body. Haruo explains what really happened. Sayuri's father had molested her. Her mother knew, but stayed silent. Her younger sister even attacked her. Trapped in misery, Sayuri locked herself in her room, trying to make herself undesirable, cutting her hair, eating endlessly, hoping her father would stop. But when she lashed out, the family turned on her. Together, they killed her and buried her in the yard. Her ghost remained, bound to the house, feeding on the suffering of whoever lived there. While Haruo was away, Sumida came to the house, worried about Norio. She wanted to check on him, but that night Sayuri's ghost appeared. In an instant, Sayuri dragged Sumida into the darkness of the house. Norio searched everywhere, but she was gone. At night, Haruo returned. Seeing her grandson in tears, she reassured him, "Don't worry, I'll bring her back." Then Haru revealed her plan. She had kidnapped Sayuri's parents and sister, still alive, and bound them inside the house. Looking at them coldly, she said, "Because of you, my family died." But first Haru tortures them by putting a screw into her father's private part, and then she hits her mother and sister with a hammer. And then Sayuri's spirit appears once more. She kills her fathers with the crowbar, then her sister. To her mother, she gives no death, only blindness, gouging out her eyes for the sin of silence. But Sayuri still refuses to leave. She turns her fury on Norio and Haruo. The battle begins. Haruo chants, fighting with her shamanic strength, but Sayuri is powerful. She overpowers Haru, leaving her weak. Norio must fight alone. In desperation, he picks up Sayuri's skull and bites into it, chewing a piece. By facing the most grotesque fear imaginable, he proves he is not afraid. Sayuri recoils, her power weakening. Norio pulls Sumida, who had been trapped, away from the spirit's grasp. Finally, Sayuri loses her strength. Her form shifts back into her childhood self, crying. Around her appear the freed souls of Shun, Keiko, Masako, and Shozo. Together their spirits fade peacefully, finally released. Later, the police arrived and collected the bodies of Sayuri's father and sister. Her mother took the blame for their deaths, wishing to atone for her and her family's sins for what they did to her. Afterward, Haruo and Norio sold the house, and then the cursed house is demolished. Norio now lives in a small apartment, while Haruo stays in an old-age home. Though her dementia has returned, she has moments of clarity. One day, she looks at Norio and tells him, "I will always be with you. Whenever you need me, call, and I will come." With Sumida by his side, Norio is no longer the frightened boy he was. He has faced the darkness, survived it, and is ready to live his life free from the curse of the House of Sayuri. If you liked the explanation, subscribe, like and share it with your friends, and go watch other explanation of movies in my channel.